Hello, this is Stuart from Hear Me, See Me podcast, and today I've got a gentleman who I've admired for a long, long time. The first time I saw him cut hair, I was completely mesmerised at what he was doing. I've since found out he's an absolute gentleman. Today I'm talking to MK. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic, to be honest. Yeah, feeling good, feeling good.
Feeling
Enjoying
good.
life and enjoying life and can't wait to get back on the chair, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know when this will go out, but we're only a few days from getting back out there, so I know we're all chomping at the bit.
Yeah, definitely. The
Yeah,
calls are just coming through, so it happens.
yeah. So, let's get right in and begin at the beginning. Like the young MK, how was the young MK, and how did he see his future? We'll take you back to a very young man at school. Say, how did it
Wow,
go for
you know what? I wouldn't really know what I didn't have a. In fact, I did have a goal in mind when I was young, and I wanted to be a stuntman.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted to be a stuntman. I thought I was going to be a stuntman because I liked the Fall Guy. You know that program, The Fall Guy? Yeah. I thought I was going to be a stuntman, and I turned out to be a barber. I mean, I think that's slightly that way, and the stuntman's like somewhere down there. But I don't know. I think what it just happened. I stumbled across barbering. I was at school. And one of the things about school is when you're going through school, there's always that identity crisis where you're trying to find out your place in it.
Yeah.
Are you the leader or the follower? And you don't. And there was something in me where I didn't like the following, but didn't feel like I was a sort of like do what everyone else was doing. I was still very much a leader in my own right in terms of what I was doing, but I was a very quiet leader. Just sort of like, I'll do my thing. I won't really copy anywhere, but I'll hang around with you guys and.
Yeah.
Whatever, but there was something that I just felt that I needed something, and I just remember it started off right at the first day of school. First day of school, I've gone to school, and a bunch of guys have come up to me. We were playing football, and they've just come up to me, bullied me, taken my ball, kicked it way over, so you couldn't get it again. Right. And there was like I can't remember. There was a few of them. And I was like, what's going on? So I went to try and fight one of them. And then all of them ganged up on me. So I kind of just like punched and then ran away. And then when I ran away, I went to run away and find all the guys that I knew. Well, I didn't know because it's my first day, but I just went and found all the black guys that I knew, literally, on the first day and go, these guys have just done da-da-da-da. Let's come together. Let's go sort them out. And we just went and sorted them out one by one in the toilet. And that's how I was as a young lad, just clean. I didn't trouble anyone, but you come my way and it's a different story. And it was just like that. And didn't do your homework and you had to wait after school. We would all wait for him, all of us. There weren't many of us. There was only, in my whole year, there was like 6 black guys, 3 black girls in the whole year, and there was about 200 people. Right. Right. Yeah, so that's how that was. And then, so I didn't really have anything on understanding where I was going to go, but that was it. I just liked that leadership part. And then what happened was we was going to go to a party, and there was a girl whose party it was, and this girl was known as a bit of a, let's just say she was partial to the opposite sex. Let's just say that. And probably more partial than others. And so we was walking down, it was Walthamstow Market, can't forget the day, and none of us had a haircut, but we was walking down the market, and my mate goes, oh my gosh, look at that. There's a massive dildo in the window. I was like, whoa. It was like, seriously, it was like, why are you putting the dildo right in the front of the shop? and it's not even a sex shop. It's just like one of those, you know, odd bits and bob shops. Like you just go in, you can go and get a battery for a phone, or you can get a Hoover bag for your Hoover,
or a dildo.
or get, do you know what I mean? Or get a toe clipping thing for your toes, that sort of shop. And right next to it, once we'd gone there and had a little laugh at it, right next to it was a wall, little trimmer, and it used to have had this little face of a black guy with these lines in his head.
Right.
And it was a blue one. So we went on, we looked at it, I was like, oh, we should get that. It was like 16 quid. There was 4 of us. So we all put all our money in, 4 quid each, put money in, took it, went back to my mate's house. His name was Mark Pinnock. Went back to his house. Everyone butchered each other. And mine was the best butcher job.
Right.
And from that moment, I was the school barber. And literally it just started like that. And I just got better and better. And as I got better, I started charging a bit of money, and I was able to buy records, and I was able to fund my studio time that I used to like going into the studio and MCing and stuff like that. And I was part of a rap group at the time. And, you know, we ended up putting a little track out on White Label, and it got to the radio stations, local ones, and did a couple PAs even. But I just liked music, and I was able to buy my own decks and go out and enjoy myself. And I was like the first guy that was able to go out and have a girlfriend and get in a cab, and go to the cinema and get a cab home. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it felt really good. It was a really good part of independence. And I just, I loved the position. And I was able to meet a lot of my friends' brothers, and then my friends' brothers brought their friends. Right. So the age group of which I was associated with or was allowed to conversate with started to go up and up. So now there's this 13-year-old going on 14, talking to 26, 27, 19, 18, and so on. And so all these different ages I'm able to have conversation with, and I'm learning so much about how the elder generation kind of maneuver and do things. And it was just a great position. And I was able to get into the older parties, and because I had decks and they would come around my house and I'd be able to cut, and they would say, "Oh, can you mix?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can mix." Oh, wow, you're good. You know, we got a party, you should come down. And I'll playing at older parties, and I'll bring a couple of my mates, and like, "Oh, we went to this party, and there was loads of girls there, this and that." And I was like, feeling like, you know, I'm like the man, like, you know, because everybody would just hear about the fact that I was able to, I'm like a 14-year-old and 15, and I'm able to go to 19, 21-year-old parties. Some of them I'm playing at, some of them I'm just attending. It was to be honest, school life was wicked. I loved every aspect of it. Loved it. Once I found barbering at like 13, that was it. School, the next 3 years was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant in everything. And it gave me confidence everywhere, because I was good at cricket, I was good at rugby, I was good at athletics, I was good at tennis, and I was in all the school teams for all of these sports. And I had a really, really good time. I can't fault my secondary school years at all. Brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant.
So there was only, what'd you say? So there was only 5 or 6 black kids at the school at the time. Is that?
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah,
at that time.
Because I remember I think it wasn't until I was about 14 that the first black kid came along to our school.
Yeah.
I remember him, and he was I made friends with him. He was a guy called Harold. His name was Harold.
Yeah.
And but it was so surreal, you know, like that we hadn't, you know, out in Essex where I was going to school, you know, I think back and I think he was the only kid on his own there, you know.
Yeah.
It's bad enough starting at a school when you don't know anyone anyway.
Yeah, it is, exactly. You know?
And I don't remember him having a hard time, but he, you know, I didn't. I thought he was great. I try like everyone, you know. I think I got on a lot of people's nerves at that age.
Yeah, well, so did I, but it was mainly probably my parents who were just trampling hair all over the house. Hair just being stuck in the carpet. I've never cleaned so much carpet in all my life during that time. It was just an everyday thing. And, you know, just standing. And the thing is, I wasn't allowed to use the whole hose, the whole thing. I had to use just the hose, you know? And then even when I was doing that, then my mom would complain and then say, no, get the broom. So I'd have to sweep it first to pick it all out of there. Yeah, because no, it's ingrained in, it's bedded in. You need to brush that out and then hoover it. So I have to brush every day, then hoover it up. Oh, I'm telling you. Yeah, but yeah, the good old days.
But, you know, that was great to get that jump start, because, you know, I left school at 16 and went into it. And then it took quite a long time, you know. But you hit the floor running then, didn't you, at a young age?
Yeah, I did, and it was really good, because if there's one thing you need in life is confidence. But I knew I had that anyway, because it was kind of in me. Like when it went to swimming, I'd never swum before, but I just told the teacher. She said, "Can you swim?" I said, "Yeah, of course I can." I've seen it on TV many times. That's what I'm saying in my head. Yeah, they get in there, their legs flap, and their arms go around. How hard could it be? I went in there, and it was just, you couldn't even see me. I was splashing so much. There was just this splash moving from one side of the pool to the other. You know what I mean? But that, I just jumped straight into it. Ice skating, jumped straight into it. Roller skating, jumped straight into it. You name it, whatever I wanted to do, I just went, yeah, that sounds like, oh, you just got to do this, do that. Let's have it.
So you could have been a fall guy.
I could have been a stuntman, definitely. Probably a dead one, really. With that attitude, anyway.
So where did you so then did you get a job in a salon at some point, like when leaving school, or?
Well, you know what it was? I actually went in to do work experience. You know, you do work experience in school. Yeah. So I did work experience in school at a salon called Finesse, which was in Edmonton. And I did that, and that went really well. So they liked me. They said, oh, he's a well-mannered young man. And so I said to them, well, when I finish my work experience, could I come and do Saturdays? Yeah. So I went and did Saturdays there. And that was where I had to learn my confidence, because back then, you never saw a youngster cutting hair. There was no youngsters. I probably was the first underage guy in a barber shop cutting hair, unless that person was related to the owner. Yeah, I'm sure I was probably the first person that was under 16 in a barber shop. Yeah, I reckon I was, because you're talking like 91. Do you know what I mean? That sort of age there, that sort of time. And I was doing Saturdays there. And the thing is, no one wanted the young guys to cut their hair. So, you know, you always hear this. Why am I cut here? Boy, I don't want no young man I cut my hair, you know. No, man. You sure him can cut hair? And that's what I used to hear every single weekend. Yeah. And all I would do is, after a while, I had to kind of like innovate myself. So I would, first of all, I thought, oh, let me be friends with the barbers. So I would go and get the lunches and go and get the this, and hopefully that they might recommend me. They would just try to say, yeah, no, he can go and cut his hair. Boy, him can cut hair. Boy, I'm no young. But, and then I'll be like, well, is that the end of, you're not even going to defend me and say he's good and nothing? So, well, him there if you want him to cut your hair, him there. So that didn't work. So I ended up sort of like sweeping up around them. That didn't work. I ended up changing up my station. So I'd make sure my station was always 10 times nicer and cleaner and what than they were. Then I changed my dress sense. So I'd wear a barber's jacket. I'd wear a shirt underneath it. I'd wear trousers and comfortable shoes. Whereas before I used to just be in trainers, and I said, no, I'm going to try and look as much of a big man as possible. And have a proper coat. I went and got myself, big man's coat, like long one. And do you know what I mean? And cover work my bag, and I'd have my bag, and it would be a proper bag. I invested in a little leather bag and made sure I had my tools out. And I laid my tools out neatly. Yeah. Not that I knew this. I hadn't been to college. I didn't know. I just thought I want everyone to see that I'm in order. That didn't work. So then the hair that I was cutting at home, I brought the pictures that I used to take. Back then it was Polaroids. Take the Polaroids and stick them all around. That didn't work. Then I would do a graffiti thing on my wall and then put like a scissors cutting through the thing to try and make more attention. That didn't work. So I put that logo on the back of my barber's jacket. And one day a kid was like, oh, you know, and then someone said to him, oh yeah, he can cut your kid's hair, because I think the dad wanted to get out pretty quick. So I cut the kid's hair so he didn't have to wait. Now he's not having to wait for his son as well. So I cut the kid's hair, the kid loved it, and that was the beginning. And now I was the kid cutter. Yeah? So as I got into the kid cut, and then some of the fathers started realizing, my kid's hair is better than mine.
Yeah.
So then I started to get one or two adults, and then you know, I had a little name for myself in that area. But then the boss started getting a bit leery and a bit this and wanted more money off me. And I'm thinking, wait, I ain't even left school. You're trying to like take this and do this, and I'm like, nah. So anyway, I ended up leaving there, and I just dotted around from barbershop to barbershop trying to learn what I could learn. And some places was absolutely disgusting in terms of either its mannerisms, its habits, its standards. I didn't know what I was searching for, to be honest, Stuart, but it wasn't there. And some places I was there for one day, some places I was there for a week, some places might have been a couple months, but nowhere was longer than 6. And I tried every salon and every barbershop in North London at that time. And there was one barbershop that I avoided because they were like proper. They had shirt and tie, waistcoat, appointments, really professional. And I just kept avoiding it. And then to the point where I'd run out of barbershops to go to. I have to go there. What am I going to do? So I just went and took my friend and said, can I do a haircut for you guys and show you that I'm good enough to work here? That's exactly what I said. I just said, can I do a haircut for you guys and show you guys I'm good enough to work here? And he went, okay, when do you want to do this? So I went, I'll do this whenever. You can do this today, do it tomorrow, whenever. He gave me a time and date to come back. Went back, did it. He said, you're all right, but you got to polish up here and there, but we can work with you. And I worked for him for 7 months with no pay, near enough every 6 days a week. And I was there for like 10 hours a day.
No pay?
Yeah, no pay, not a penny. Didn't even give me transport. Oh. And, you know, he'd buy me lunch here and there, but no pay. But I just wanted to learn from the guy. I'd heard about the guy. I went to one of the hair shows, and this guy's model, the owner, the boss, his name's Audie Cummings, he went and done a competition, and his model didn't turn up. So he went and cut his own hair on stage and put a little design in it, and he used his hands like it was Braille, and was like, and you're like, damn, that's bloody confident. You're just gonna feel, and then just go, and I'm like, what? I'm standing there, my mouth dropped. I was in awe of this guy. I was like, you didn't just cut your hair on stage in front of everybody with Braille technique. I'm like, who does that? You know, and I just admired him from there. And he was just a phenomenal boss. And in a long story, cut short, I was there for like, 4 years? 3 years? 3 or 4 years. And I'd gone from an apprentice with no pay to a manager running the shop with 16 staff under me, doing shift systems from 8 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night.
And how old was you at that point?
I was 19, going on 20.
19?
Yeah. Going on 20, and I was managing that shop, yeah. I was so determined. I just wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to do everything that he did, and I just did everything. I didn't care what he told me to do. I just did it. And some of the things would make me really upset, Stuart. I'm telling you this. Like go and clean the toilet bowl at the back and the toilets, and scrub down the front window, and we used to have to, you know, the front of the shop, you'd have to bleach it down and spray it down and then brush it clean and all of that jazz stuff. None of the apprentices have to do now. No. Along with cleaning all the products on the shelf, along with folding the towels, along with doing the laundry, along with and all that jazz. Yeah, you know. But
pick the pins out of the hair, sweep the hair up, and then like all this hair on the floor, we used to have to pick the pins out so we didn't waste any, you know, like.
Yeah.
And we used to, because mine was ladies' hairdressers, it wasn't barbering, mine was ladies' hairdressers. And we even used to have to, the perm papers, we used to have to like rinse them out and then put them on the windowsill.
Oh, well, yeah, we had to pick the hairs out the brushes, out
Yeah.
the rollers. Oh, yeah, yeah. Those were the days. Didn't like it, and I kind of chose barbering anyway because during the time of me going to college to do hairdressing, I went to London College of Fashion, and I was thinking of going into hairdressing because you couldn't learn barbering.
Yeah.
You had to kind of take barbering as a little unit and still do all of hairdressing. And the only thing that made me not want to do hairdressing was the perm lotions back then.
Yeah.
Oh, they
stunk.
stunk. Oh, they stunk, Stuart. They were horrid. And none of the salons had air conditioning back then like they do now. Oh, it was horrid. Come the summer, it was heaving perm lotion. And back then, late 80s, early 90s, perms were the thing. They were coming in and out of the salon all day long.
Kids, men, the whole family would come in and have a perm. You'd have more perms at the same time than sinks available to do the neutralising. So you literally was pulling people away from to get some water on to neutralise a perm in between. It was absolutely stunk. It used to make your eyes water.
Oh, I couldn't take it, and that was the main reason why I left hairdressing. Was because of the perm lotion. Couldn't take it.
Before you move on to the next bit, what I found interesting is that when you were going all around North London in all these different barbershops, being the man that you are now that I know, the one place you was avoiding was the place where, as I know you now, was where you fitted the most.
Yeah, but I was scared. I was scared. I didn't feel like I was worthy to go there.
Yeah.
Because I had no education. I was self-taught. This was all osmosis. This was me just learning through trial and error. And remember, back then, there's no YouTube, internet, videos, DVDs to pick up. None of that. So it literally, you are questioning what you're doing and then going, why is it not working? Why does it not look like that? Yeah. Oh, let me try this.
Yeah.
And then it still doesn't look like that. Let me try this. So loads of trial and error. So you don't realize you're actually training yourself to actually become better just by observation and questioning what you're seeing, which is what learning is.
Yeah. But then what we do is an art form. So if you think about an artist developing his craft, it's the same thing, but it was more so like that then, wasn't it? Because you didn't have all of these things to help, so you just had to find your way. And it's sort of probably like find your way around a canvas or find your way around some clay. Is you find your talent emerges, I suppose, after a while.
Yeah, it does. But if you're not actually guided in the right way, like how my boss Audie, he guided me. So he knew I had a lot of potential, and he's like, "You've learned how to do this by yourself." And I went, "Yeah." And he was like, "You're very good, young man. You need some polishing, but you're very good. If you're able to do this on your with no one teaching you anything," I'm like, "Yeah." And he was amazed at how good I was, having not gone to any form of school, read any books on it. I've just done it. And it's because of the amount of people I was cutting every single week. By the time I got to him, I was 16. I had 3 years of cutting at least 25 people a week.
Yeah.
You know, that's minimum. That's just being fair, because it was at least that. So, and with him, what he'd done is he taught me how to question. And that was the trick that I was missing. So like a scientist has an object in front of him and he has no idea what it is. Maybe he's never seen it before, newly discovered. First thing he's got to discover, he's got to go through a series of tests. Is it a solid? Is it a liquid? Or is it a gas? And then once he's found out which one of those it is, then he needs to find out whether it's flammable, permeable, soluble, all of those different things. He's got to go through the processes of questioning before he can decipher where this chemical or item or thing that's found can be used. And it's that line of processing that he taught me how to do in barbering. So that even when he's teaching me how to achieve something, he's giving me the processes to check whether what he's teaching me is correct or not, or whether there's a better way, or a more easy way, or faster way, or or just a more efficient way of doing it. And that was, it was just wicked. Loved it there. Loved it there.
But that's a game changer. That's his teaching us to break things down and then sort of build them up with knowledge, isn't he?
Yeah, and the thing is, he wasn't the greatest teacher. He was just the greatest listener. And he always had something that would get your mind ticking. So he allowed you to be the best you. He wasn't trying to make you into him.
Right.
You would just be him because you're in his environment. But he definitely was more about you being the best version of you.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked about him. And I love him dearly for that.
Yeah. There's these people that come in early in your life that you carry through with you and you don't keep in touch sometimes, but they've, like my boss, my first boss, and, they make such an impact on your life. I think not only as your hairdressing career, but a young man at that age, they sort of influence a lot of your attitudes towards your life as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was the one that kind of grew me, kind of boy to man type of thing, because my dad probably didn't have the sort of best father-son relationship with his father. So he lacked the skills of being able to pass that down to me and have the conversations and give me the nurturing mentally or spiritually that I needed. His was just the guidance, don't go down that path, which is really, if you've gone down that path, then I'll just beat it out of you not to go back down that path. And that was basically, he was a disciplinarian, not a mind coach or a spiritual coach or that was him. So I kind of got my fatherhood in that barbershop, and obviously speaking to men as well and learning from their mistakes, and you finding out why they're not happy today and why they're upset today and who's made them really angry today. And then you're finding out the stories that led up to that incident. And those are great teachers as well. And you realize, whoa, you come across some of these scenarios in your own life, you're like, well, I better not go down there. And then some of them you go, why not? Have a go.
Yeah. I'm relating so much to it as well. Like my dad was the same thing. He was an army. He was a PTI in the army, and he only had one way. But then his was such a severe upbringing that I think he done really well, compared to that. And I think now that I've got children, I'm a much better able to be a parent now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have allowed you to look at what they've done wrong.
Yeah.
Or didn't quite get right. Because, the thing is, with the hairdressing game, the barbering game, because you're coming across so much people, you have you're subjected to comparison. And I don't know a stylist or a hairdresser that hasn't done this, where you're comparing yourself to others and their lives and maybe the things that they've done or not done to yourself, because you're trying to get an understanding, especially as you're growing up.
Yeah.
You're trying to get an understanding of yourself. You're trying to see where you fit in society, and are you part of this and are you part of that? I mean, I know they've got the lower class, middle class and upper class and all that jazz. Don't want to go there, but you still try to pigeonhole yourself because of the way that you was taught in school, that you've got to find a box for yourself, otherwise you're not whole. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sad, really, in some respects, because you really need to find your own unique path, and it's only when you find a lane of confidence that you're proud of who you are and what you're doing, that you just seek to not worry about what anyone else is doing and just do your thing.
Yeah. That comes later, doesn't it?
It does come later.
Yeah.
It does.
I've found that a lot of the time early on in life, I was actually, trying to be someone else. I didn't particularly know who I was, so I was trying to be whoever I was around at that time. I was trying to be more like that, and I didn't even know what I really wanted till later in life. So
yeah, sometimes some people don't know for a long time.
They never find it out.
I mean, there's aspects I thought I knew what I wanted, but I didn't. How can I put this? I didn't realize how much of a love I had for a certain aspect of my trade than the others. So there's one part that I really love more, which, because it was just kind of an icing on the cake, I didn't take it that seriously that I could just have a career in just that path. I thought it always had to be a case where I'd have to accept that that's just an add-on.
Yeah.
And I really should have, if there's any regret I'd have, I'd say I should have just pursued that avenue of pure joy that I had then. I still have it now, but I'm just saying I should have just gone at it full pelt. But when you enter different arenas in life as you're growing on, you go back to a baby mode again until you kind of understood what's going on. And sometimes you stay there for too long and you can end up listening to too many people and too many wrong uns. And then you realize you got to do it this way. And then you move up another stage in life and now you're a baby again and you're still doing, and it's just on and on. And you're like, you just look back and you go, I've been doing this for too long. I keep going in this thing as a baby. But you're meant to go in there with the baby hunger to grow, but not with the baby attitude where you need a mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not until you look back and then you realize, no, I've got to stop this. And you know, many people do it. Many people may, you know, come out of it a lot earlier. But if there was a trait that I noticed looking back now, it was that.
Yeah. Waiting to be nurtured. Yeah.
Just because it's a new arena.
Yeah.
You know.
Where did you go from that then? From when you was at that salon, and then you said you had about 4 years there. What happened after?
Oh well, when I went from that salon, I just literally left and tried to start my own thing, like next door to my home. Kind of just built something really small and just started doing that there. It was just like a little shed, and just built something there. And cut there for a little while, worked with a few people, and worked alongside a really great guy called Wesley Regis, who used to be one of a guy that I used to work with just before I started that proper salon that I was afraid to go to. It was a salon called Eve's Academy, and we had learned there how to cut hair with just a razor and a blade, a razor and a comb, sorry. Right. And this guy Wesley Regis, he ended up coming to work alongside me at my shop that I built at my at the family home and built it next to it. And then we both went off after a good number of years, and we went and started a salon in a shopping centre. So we went to start the salon there, and you know, we'd really done really well. We put all this business plan together and we designed it. And to the point where I know we were doing well, because there was a point where we had done an actual business plan, but we'd done systemic business plan, because we were reading books and stuff like that. And the floppy disk, I remember them floppy disks used to get in the thing, a little square thing. And the floppy disk got corrupted, and we had to take it to a specialist to hopefully recover what was on it. And this was my first professional, how can I put it? It was my first professional notion of bureaucratic racism. It was my first notion of it. And what happened was, the company was investigating us based on the floppy disk, because they did not believe that two black guys from North London were capable of putting the work that was on this disc, and that they believed that we had stolen it. Seriously, police came around and asked us stuff. We were doing this with the Princess's, what do you call it? Princess's Trust.
Princess's Trust, yeah.
Our business plan was being done through the Princess's Trust, and they were assisting us and then offered us mentors and stuff like that. It was all our work, so we only had to point them in one direction, give them one telephone number, and that was the end of it. But it was just a fact that they had the audacity to say that there's no way that two guys that have never been to university, never been to college to do business degree or law, could come up with a system like this. But we got our systems and ideologies from books. Sorry?
You actually had the police come?
Yes. No word of a lie. We were investigated because they thought we'd stolen it from a company.
Wow.
You know, because this is a time where you've got not many companies even with a computer in their businesses.
Yeah.
Let alone us coming up with systemic systems for operations and training and assessment and all of this jazz. And we had like calculated systems for knowing like, okay, if you bring someone in this, you're going to need these are your resources, how much that's going to cost, and who's going to manage that, and that goes there, and that person manages that, and what we're monitoring the flow of information that goes through the business.
Yeah.
We were doing that. And yeah, we got investigated. And that was kind of like my first taste of it. And it was just like, wow, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, we got out of that real pretty quick and we started our business. And the funny thing is, you know, when you work together closely, I don't know if you work together closely with someone.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're working closely together, that means even your partners are getting the same amount of attention as each other. So his girlfriend, my girlfriend, will probably get the same amount of attention because they would only see us when we're not together.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
a lot of the time we were together. So our first two children, the dates of our first two children are days apart. Days apart. Our second child, his first child is like 4 weeks difference from mine.
Yeah.
His first child, 4 weeks difference. His second child is the same day as my first child. Yeah, birthdays wise. And, you know, but if we've got both children are like the same ages, just a few months apart, a few days apart, days like that, because we were just doing things at the same time, you know, literally. And the one thing that was a difference is that when we were doing the business, we were doing it and, you know, enjoying the business, but we didn't see eye to eye in some things. Yeah. And I wanted to take it according to the plan, and he wanted to just like get it going. And we just saw differences. And it was only because of the children. As soon as we had the children, our ideologies changed.
Right, yeah.
We were the same. We did everything the same. We worked the same hours. We did everything the same. But the moment the children came up into our lives, our focus switched in terms of what was really important to us and what was not important to us. And our priorities changed. And you can see it to this day. I've got 2 children. He has 5 children today.
He's a man after my own heart.
Yeah, he's got 5 children, 5 boys. They've been trying for a girl since then. Haven't got the girl. Yeah. But yeah, it just goes to show, even having a partner, you know, we just slightly changed, but it was still a good experience. We'd kitted out this shop, done it really well. We had people that used to travel and just gone past just to see the shop.
One sec, mate. We're going to have a quick break. Sorry about that. That's that was me having to have a quick break. But yeah, you were saying about when kids come.
Yeah, well, once the kids came, our ideology slightly changed, and we saw different focuses for the business in itself in terms of the direction we wanted to take it. He was all about getting the bums on the chairs and just getting barbers in there and making it happen. And I was more like getting the right barbers in here and making sure that they're trained correctly before they came in. And it was it didn't really work out too well. And then we had a few break-ins. Our shop got broken into 3 times. My car got vandalized a few times, and it was literally because we got a shop. It literally was. It was jealous people, and it just got it really put a down on things. And I even had some trophies that were stolen along with the stuff that was stolen before, which never get back. But and lo and behold, basically that I think that we lasted virtually about 4 years, and I kept trying to put money in it, and it didn't work out, and I lost the shop, and then I lost the house. I had to go back to my mum's, knock on the door, and say, "Yeah, can you have me back, mum?" And this time I've got a little kid with another one on the way. This wasn't easy, and so what I had done I decided to. I went through a little bit of depression for about a month or so, and then I just got up and I went, "No, I'm not having this. I'm not having this. My children can't have this." And I sought about making a name for myself. So I said, right, I might not have a shop, might not have a home. I still have me. I still got my skills, and I'm going to make something myself. And I literally went for every competition that was going during the time whilst I never had a shop. So whilst I was going for competitions, I was actually cutting hair and using the money. Every penny was going into building a shop. And that shop, just kept building. And it's still the same, one of the same shops I still work from today. And this shop is now big enough where I've got like 5 chairs. I've got quite a waiting area that can hold up to at least, it can hold up a number of people. Because now I do seminars in the salon, and I can have at least 20 to 25 people watching a seminar in the salon. We've got 2 toilets, reception, a nice little staff room with everything it needs. And we've got a long hallway that leads to the front of the building, and its own separate door, and you walk down through the garden, and shops at the back, and I built it myself. And that's kind of where I operate from today. I mean, it was a lot smaller back then when I started out, because I just wanted to just get going, and that was just enough for 1, 2 chairs and a little waiting area. And I just worked from there, and still had a receptionist, still did everything that I could do, and just made the best of what I had. And I'm talking about working in overalls, and as soon as the client's gone, I might go and buy some nails or buy some wood, and I'd come back and I'd carry on chopping and cutting and hammering and banging until the next client came along. So there was a lot of time where I'm working around dust sheets and plastic membranes and just cutting in one little dust-free area whilst I'm working on the rest of it. And I did that for I did that for 3 years until I was ready to open up in 2006. And I opened up in 2006, and then 2010, I did another extension, and then I did my last extension in 2017. Right. And that was where I built the seminar area, so that we could then hire it out and allow other people to do it and do talks in here. And when we're not open, we still can make some money from the place as well. And and it was that was just a determination. I said, no way. And I literally just said, no way. And the sad thing is, because at the back of the garden, it was just grass, and I'm not a builder, never done building in my life. And I'm telling my people, I'm going to build a shop there. And my own people were laughing at me. And that was hard to take, but I just did it anyway. And I literally learned on the job, and I had builders and plumbers who I used to cut, and I would ask them to draw me diagrams, tell me what I needed to do, step for step. And each time they came in, I'd say, right, I've bought the parts, how do I put this together? And they would help show me how to put it together. And then they would go away, then I would go and do it. And then I would just do it literally week by week. Sometimes I would have to go over to them, drive over to them, or go and see them and say that. Sometimes I went on the job to watch them, how they did it, helped them out, bought them lunches, did all the things, swept up, cleaned up after them, just to learn how to do the next bit. And I did everything. I did the plumbing, the electrics, the woodwork, all that. And the only thing I paid, sorry.
That's all right.
That was me. Yeah, the only thing I ended up paying for was the connection. Like when you want to connect the actual electrics to the fuse box. That's what I paid for, to get my certificate. You know, because they would come along and check my job, so I'd pay them to come and check it as I'm going along. They go, yeah, that's right. And that was the cheapest way of getting the job done. You know, and that's what I did. And even in the last extension I did just 3 years ago, I went back to the same old, because I said I've got to save money, because I had some guys do some building work for me, and they fluffed it up, absolutely fluffed it up. I wasted thousands on idiots and more idiots and more idiots. And to the point where I was trying to get a cheaper job, and it ended up being more expensive. than if I'd gone for the pros. And literally I had to do most of it all again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've often said that if you want to, you know, like if someone's into building and they want to make some decent money, is to sort of do salon refits, because so many times over the years I've seen companies, and I think, how are you ever going to make that money back? Because you're talking about 200 grand, 300 grand refits on visitors, and you think, how much have you got to earn to get that back? You know,
Yeah.
it's ego, isn't it, over.
Yeah, you can make things. Yeah, I mean, my salon, I have to admit, I'm not. It's not even a brag, but I know my salon is nicer than most salons that you see in most high streets. It is.
Yeah.
You know, I spent time on it. You can see that there's care and attention being spent on it and in it, and I take great pride in what we're doing. And I don't think you need to spend. You need to spend good money. I don't think you need to spend obscene amounts of money.
No.
You know, if you feel prepared to get your hands dirty. And even if you didn't want to get your hands dirty, there's plenty of college students that are actually working to do this job as a trade, that are in their second and third year of doing it. Go and get the ones in their last year. They've learned something by now.
Yeah.
You just have to coach them. And then you can just bring one guy in that knows how to do the job, just to be an overseer. He comes in the morning, he comes at the end, and that's it. And you just paid him to have a little look. He's the foreman.
I opened my salon in 1988, and me and my dad spent 3 months. You know, we bought. We just completely renovated the whole building, and but you had that sense of ownership and pride on it. You know, that when you did finally open the doors, I mean, maybe I could have opened up. Or what I didn't think about was the fact that I lost 3 months' money. So maybe if I'd have got a big company to bang in, and I'd have had 3 months' turnover to pay them, you know. But I don't know. You live and learn. I was never, when I opened the business, I wasn't a businessman. I was a hairdresser. I've been hairdressing 10 years. I was only, you know, like I was fairly young as well. I sold my house to buy the building. I bought the freehold building. I was only at that point 25-ish. And then so I'd only ever just cut hair. I'd never been a manager. I'd never done anything like that. So I made many, many mistakes, and I learned as I went along, you know. But I think that's sometimes the way, you know, if you fly by the seat of your pants a bit, it's the best way of learning in a way.
Yeah, you do develop a good backbone. I mean, I'm pretty much the same. I didn't, you know, as much as you couldn't even get barbering when I went to college, let alone getting a business to go alongside it. Yeah. I mean, and then even if you did do business, you'd get some core foundation of business in general, but understanding hairdressing business, that wasn't there, you know, to understand how to look after your clientele and help you with that side of things. You've got to learn that as you go along. But yeah, the business side of things is something that a lot of people in our industry need help with, because we're what's known as Michael. There's a guy called Michael Gerber, and he says it so well. He says most hairdressers and barbers, we're technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. and it's never a true word said. Because if I had known in the beginning that running a barbershop has got nothing to do with barbering, and now I'm focused more on getting out of the salon and focusing on helping other people do what I've done.
Yeah. And
managing a group of people and helping them build their careers. But I think I'm in a much better place now to do that.
Yeah. And he said, so that's a big part of your future, is it?
Very much so. Mainly because being behind the chair, my mind is doing so much right now that I'm doing the world an injustice by staying there when I could be helping them in much bigger ways and better ways, not being constrained to that one chair. There's only so much you can do there. But going away and being away from that, there's so much more people I can help and assist and create. And that's pretty much a lot more of where I want to go for the future.
Yeah. I think even in this day and age, even though the industry's moved so much far forward from the days we're talking about, that now people are aware of business and, you know, they are actually running a business as well as working as a salon. But so many people don't get away from the chair enough. Even there's so many still like people that are running a salon or a barber's, and they're just behind the chair too long. They don't take time out of it to actually run a business.
No, and yeah, I've been very much a victim of that myself. You know, not running it as well as I should have for a number of years, and just, you know, fly by the seat of my pants type of thing, you know. But now understanding what it is that one needs to do to move forward, I've taken it a lot more seriously and gone right back really to how I was when I was telling you, I got investigated for my floppy disk.
Yeah.
Because systemically, everything has to have a system in it. And it's like, if you're going to do something, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. It doesn't matter how small it is. I don't even care if it's sweeping the floor and mopping it. If there is a way that you're doing that on your floor to make it look as shiny, and I like my floor shiny, I like to see the reflection of other things in the room on the floor. I don't care what's going on. I want it to look like a mirror. It might be a dark mirror, but it must be a mirror. I must be able to see everything reflecting off it. So there is a way that we sweep and mop the floor. But yeah, if there is a way, I've actually got to have that written down for how it's done, how you do it. And as much as you might think, well, it's just sweeping and mopping, innit? Until you get an apprentice come in and do it, and you're going, oh my God, where have you come from? Then you realize, no, it's not as simple as you think.
No.
And that is with every single process in the business. If it's not written down and it's in the mind of the owner, then it doesn't really exist.
No.
And it all depends on whether you're switched on that day, whether that department of the business is open or not.
Yeah.
You know,
that's so crucial. I mean, over the years that I came across it, because at one point I worked with Alan Austin Smith, and I was doing the coaching, and I learned so much myself by coaching other people. But I was quite shocked that when I went to coach some salon owners, that so many people work. They, you know, like you say, there aren't systems in place, so everyone sort of, and a lot of the time they're quite well functioning salons, but they haven't got sort of systems there. So sort of people are doing everything by instinct, but you can't replicate that. You can't, you know.
No, and the standards change all the time. That's the problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
one week you're doing it really well, another week you're not doing it so well, you know, and you need everything in its place and a place for everything. So once you've got your salon in order in terms of aesthetically, and then you've got the products and the resources that it needs to do those things, then all you have to do is then look at when you use it, why you use it, how you use it, how you store it, how you look after it, how much it costs, and how long it's meant to be there for. And once you've got that in place, you can now have all the things that you need to train the people to do it, to know what the costs are of doing it, know how long you're spending on something, to know how much something costs, and so on and so on. And you can put a cost to almost anything when you ask those 7 questions. Because without it, you can't actually put a cost on it. And if you can't quantify it, then you don't know if you need to do it or you don't need to do it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. It's like, because that's the thing, and I saw it so many times that, and people don't even have a handle on profitability, you know, because without profitability, all you've got is a hobby.
Yeah, I noticed that a little while ago, and I realized that when you're kind of just going through the motions, and you don't actually look at all those things, and it's at that point when you realize, I haven't got the time to go and cut hair. Yeah. There's too much to do.
Yeah.
There's like 6 departments in this business, and you're only doing like 1.
Yeah.
So for all of the days that you're cutting hair, all of those departments are closed.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, the last one that will be closed as well. So there'll be nothing.
It's not, and and then we go to this current time. On top of all of that, what we've just explained, that this is why people just see it as a business that, you know, it just runs itself, and it doesn't happen. It takes a lot of time, effort, and emotion to get the places open. But then we've been hit now in the industry with a pandemic where our doors have been closed. How's that related to you and your business?
Well, you know what, it's hurt it a while, but it's allowed me. I knew from a long time, and this is the reason why I work the way I work and work where I work, because in the beginning, obviously, as I told you, we don't have partner that we work, and as soon as we had children, we saw differences in terms of the focus. And I look at him, and I'm in great admiration of him and his family and his union. He's got his 5 children and his wife, and they're just there, and you know, and having it. And maybe because I kind of focused so much on business, that I didn't manage to kind of set up that tight unit with my children and their mum, you know. So that kind of broke down, but I still kept things very tight. We're very close. I always found it was important whilst we was growing up, even though we weren't together, to go out for meals every month so that the children could see us getting along amicably and having a dinner and talking and just learning the functions of a family and how it needs to communicate, regardless of whether we are a true one or not. But we can at least still be it, you know, in front of them and for their sake. And for that reason, I changed the way that I work. So I kind of only worked sort of like 3 or 4 days a week, so I could spend more time with my children when need be, or spend more time on my business, which made me just say, well, you know what, let me keep it in a place that I own. So the shop that I have, I own it. We own the property. We've got freehold. We're not paying no rents and stuff like that. So therefore, I can afford for situations like this to occur and it not actually hinder me in such a way. Not that I foresee this happening, but I foresaw the fact that I knew I wanted more time with my children. And I'm so glad I did that, because the bond that we have as father and son is really good. My children are like, you know, 6'4" and 6'1", and they're bigger than me, but they will still hug me no matter where we are and say, "Love you, Dad." And if I had to work that hard just to make that happen at this age, and it doesn't matter where they are, whether they're in front of friends, anywhere, they will still say, "Love you, Daddy," even on the phone in front of their friends. That it was worth it. It was worth every moment of being away and doing that, just to have that closeness there. And them still say, and even now and again, I still catch them. They'll still say, "Yes, Daddy." Whereas, and then sometimes they'll say "Dad," but they'll still say, "Yes, Daddy." And I'm like, wow, you lot still say "Yes, Daddy." And then some people catch them, they go, "Ain't that cute?" And then they catch themselves and like, "Oh, ain't that cute?" You know what I mean? But yeah. So, you know, it was all about understanding to say to yourself, you know what, whatever, regardless of what you're doing and where you're doing it, understand what you want out of this life. Do you want more life, or do you just want to work? You know what I mean? Because people you can work really hard, and I've seen it in my clientele where they work really hard and they might have a good lifestyle, the big car, the big house, but the relationship with their children is not quite there. And you can see it with the behaviorisms that the children have when they're sitting in the chair, and the parent is trying to discipline them and they can't, because you're not around that much. So they don't take your words seriously. When you say stop, they're like, you don't mean stop. You mean just carry on a little bit, don't you? That's what you really mean. You know what I mean? When you see that sort of behavior, and then I'll have to tell them and take a stance and just say, "Look, young man, sit still. Otherwise you're gone," you know? And little things like that. And you realize this is why I spent the time that I needed to spend, because discipline's important, respect is important, and most of all, love is important. So it is about designing your life and saying what you want from it. And when you look into the future and say, "This is what I want from it, what do I have to do now?" You have a quick glimpse for where you want to go. You look at where you are now, and you quickly start doing the things that you feel will enable that to happen. Like guaranteed. You don't really necessarily care about the glam and the fame. I mean, you could go out there and get the high street and be out there and have loads of this and that, but if you don't want that headache, then don't go and get it. You don't have to get it just because everyone else is doing it. Do you want to cut hair? Yes. Do you want to have clientele? Yes. Do you want to have a business clientele? Yes. Do you want to have an organized business where you've got people that come in for appointments and book next time? Yes. Do you want them buying your products? Yes. Do you want to have people that don't moan about your prices? Yes. So then just go and target those people and get them. And then start looking at where they go, and you socialize in those areas, and you take your business cards and you always have them with you. And you just have fun in life and meet new people and tell them, you know what, when you're free, come down, put down, have a haircut, have a chin wag, get a consultation. I'd love to tell you what you could do with your hair. You've got great hair. You're not doing it any justice, mate.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're doing that, maybe with his wife, say, yeah, go and see him. And then you just get clients like that. And I literally got clients from just going around and just talking to people and just being friendly. And that was what I did. And now I'll do it. Sorry?
That's infectious. Sorry to cut you in, but I'm just, you got me, you know, like that simplifies the desire to succeed, and how simple it can be.
Yeah, because you as long as you're doing it for you and how you want to live. So if you want to live in a particular way, then say, well, maybe I don't need that big high street. Maybe I'll just go and get a smaller shop in another place. Maybe not on an A road. I won't get a B road. I'll go on a C road.
Yeah.
And then that way, on that C road, I've got much lower rents, which I can deal with. And all I have to do is have high intensity marketing.
Yeah.
And I can do that with just my lifestyle in terms of where I go.
Yeah.
And getting closer to my friends and my friends' friends.
Yeah.
So I go where they go, I go do what they do, and I advertise to my friends. And if my friends are not actually wearing the best hairstyles that I can provide for them, then you're doing yourself a great injustice. Yeah. Your friends are meant to be looking banging. Like everyone needs to know that you're their barber, as far as I'm concerned. And that's how you grow it, you know. And then you just, that way your friends will be really proud of you, and they speak about you with pride, and you just let them know that you look fantastic, thanks to me. I mean, some of it's to do with you, but thanks to me, you look great. you know, you have to have a bit of cheek with it sometimes, you know.
The thing is, MK, that I've said, you know, like there's a lot happens in our industry, and you know, you take yourself very seriously.
I do, in terms of what I go about doing. Like, for instance, you know, when I came onto the scene in like professionally, 98, and in 98, Salon International at Wembley, I'm like the only black guy in this show, along with Chris Foster. So it's just me and Chris Foster.
Yeah.
And we're going on the wall stage and we're showing the world who we are.
Yeah.
And we used to have people in stitches, literally just laughing. But at the same time, at the same time, them laughing, they were just sort of like, not just laughing, but really enjoying it. So I've got to take my wire and plug it in the actual phone. So I'm going to move the phone slightly because I saw the percentage going down. And that's why it kind of blacked out a bit. So I thought, well, let's just sort this out. So yeah, so going into going there at that time and going in that competition, I realized, wow, I've got to step it up. I've got to make sure, right, because at the end of the day, they're going to notice me. There's no way I'm going to be able to walk into a European hair show and not stand out. I'm going to stand out like a white guy at the Million Man March. Do you know what I mean? So I said, well, I'm just going to be the pinnacle of what I believe is a professional barber. So I would make sure that my dress was all right. I'd make sure that I'd read my textbooks every time before I do a show. That's a constant thing I always do. To this day, I still do it. I'll read a few pages of a textbook. And it's just to get my mind in gear, get myself knowing that that is the stature that you're going to be expected to uphold. That's the standard. This is a book. I probably know it, but at the end of just read it, remind yourself, this is how you're going to have to speak. You're not on the layman's terms. You're not having a little chin wag and a jolly. You're going to go out there and do your job. But at the same time, you're now going to put your personality into it as you do in the salon, but you're still going to do that on a level because you still need to make people enjoy your demonstration or enjoy your teaching and enjoy you as an individual and kind of like get to know you. So you've got to mix your profession with your personality, with a story. And then the sales, all at the same time, and deliver it within sentences, paragraphs, phrases, stories, actions, all at the same time. And that's what I used to do, and that's what I used to take seriously. And then on top of that was my appearance. It had to be pristine. I didn't care what I was doing. I didn't care what it is. I didn't care if it was loud, but it would be pristine. And I'd be in order. I'm very conscious of the fashion and color coordinated and orchestrated everything that I did. And that's how I took it seriously. But at the same time, never forget the fun, because otherwise it's just going to feel like a job. So it was about, how do I get this point across, this message across, and still be me and still have fun? And it was that at that stage, from 98 right through 2004, and I reckon it was 2004 really, that the boom came, bam, everybody wanted to be a barber.
Yeah.
And I'd influenced nearly everybody out there in barbering, because they kept popping along to the hair shows and seeing myself, Foster, people like Five, and we're there showing off, doing our stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, boom, boom, boom. And then more and more, and the barbering just became hip, popular, and very fashionable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my point is as well that, you know, and I mean that as a compliment, that you take yourself seriously. And I don't mean, and as opposed to you don't take yourself too seriously, which is not you at all. But, you know, our industry complains a lot, you know, we're not taken seriously. But then you have, you know, we have a lot of instances where we don't act professionally. Now, in this life, you can't have your cake and eat it. And that's why I admired what you do, because like you are on point when you're on stage. You know, you are, and as you say, you're a very well dressed man. But you can't act in a certain way and then moan because you get treated a different way.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing sometimes, because you nowadays you go to shows and some people think, yeah, we're on the stage, we do the professional thing, and we go back to the hotel and get completely rat-assed and do and say all sorts of things. And I've even seen fights. Yeah. And you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, we're not football.
But at the same time, I am proud of my industry in the fact that it has stepped up.
Yes.
It stepped up massive leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And it's great competition that is all around the country. Yes, there was a large number of people messing it up for the rest, but I think you'd probably go into many industries and find the same crap, really.
Cool. Yeah.
But it's just the fact that the ones that ruin it tend to be the loudest. I don't know why.
Well, they're the ones you hear.
Yeah, they're the ones you hear and the ones you see, and you know, and there's this there's a particular look that that is there as well. And you know, the young guys are coming up and they've got their looks and they've got their fashion. Yeah. And you know, I don't want to sound old and start chastising the new ones that's coming up for the way that they are, but just don't compromise the way that you are for the whole of, like, just remember that you're still representing something.
Yes.
And and what is this thing that you're representing? And would you want your 16-year-old son just coming into the industry to see you doing it this way?
Yeah.
And I think if you take that stance to say that I'm an adult at any time and I'm a parent at any time there's anyone younger than me in my presence, because that's how I do it. If I've got a child in front of me and in my salon, I'm his dad. For that moment that he's in the chair, I'm his dad.
Yeah.
And I'm going to treat him as my son in the chair. And the same when I'm out in the street, same when I go and do a talk at a college. These are all my children. And what would I tell them?
Yeah, back to part 3. We're talking about the you know, if you want to be taken seriously, you've got to act a bit more seriously.
Yeah, I mean, just helping out and showing the next generation how the industry is and the attitude that you should have when you're coming into it, I think is paramount to how we do it. And I mean, I think it's important that you have your identity. And I think sometimes people are compromising their identity for the professionalism. Now, you don't need to bring your whole character to the job. You just bring some of your character to the job. You're meant to enhance the job, not the job be you. You know what I mean? You be the job. You're meant to enhance the role, you know? So that your personal stuff, you keep over there. Yeah. But you bring your character to the job, but remembering not to compromise the job at hand. And that's where I think some of the youngsters are going wrong, in my opinion. Yeah. But that's not for me to say that they should be conducting themselves in this way. I think that you get an immediate change the moment that they put themselves in that position and then realize maybe they are exposing too much of themselves. You need to keep some of yourself for your family, your girlfriend, your children, you know, and all the rest of your friends. You keep that part of yourself with them that they only get to see and they only get to hear. But there's an aspect of you which still wants to allow people to hear you, still allow people to see your vision for life, your zest for life, your wanting to help or assist or even show off. And if you just get into the reasons as to why you want to do that and what impact are you hoping for it to have on the people that you're showing off to, and what would you hope for them to do as a result of that, then you will soon change your attitude and you'll find the right path on how much of yourself you should bring in there. Once you give the why and you give the what you're expecting and you're giving the what are you hoping for them to do with once you've done those two things. And once you do that, you don't need to confuse yourself with how much of yourself you need to bring in there, because you've just got the model of what you're doing it for. Yeah. And that will allow you to know what part of yourself to bring in. And that's it. Doesn't have to get complicated. It just has to have a reason. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and that's the thing. You know, no one wants to listen to someone that just goes, don't like your top. I'm like, why? Don't like it. Forget you then. You don't even know why you don't like what you like. So what's the point of listening to you? But if you're actually going out there and performing your craft in that way, you're doing that. That's what you're doing to the industry. Yeah. You're almost going to the, well, I don't like that. Well, why don't you like it? Yeah. Be the change. Make the change. Do you know what I mean? And when you have that reasoning, you will be able to make your mark in your own unique way just by being you. But you must have the reason. Yeah.
And it's that being responsible and taking responsibility. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like being aware that because it's not only on stage that we're looked at. In this society now, it's on stage we're looked at. Obviously, if we get to be on stage, we've got a responsibility to be representative. But at the same time, you know, we can be judged on our social media. You know, and I do sometimes question, you know, what people are putting on there. You know, and I think.
Yeah, I know. You know, it does happen. I mean, to be honest, I'm a victim of it myself. I go and I do a show, as you know, Training Day Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I'm talking to my industry and assisting and showing off and helping them and asking questions. But, you know, there's been a particular week where I was literally hurt by something that I'd seen. And it was from a group of people and friends that you would expect to act and portray better. Yeah. But they didn't. They let me down. They let themselves down, in all honesty. But I was so infuriated by the fact that I had to speak about it to my industry so that these people could see the impact of what they do and know that this is the repercussion of what they do. And it was only lucky that it wasn't in person that happened, because I had allowed myself to get to a place that I shouldn't have allowed myself to get to because of that infuriation. You know what I mean? And as a youngster or as an individual in general, as we're growing up, it's very important to be in charge of our emotions, because if we're not, then we give onus and power to that which we've allowed to affect us emotionally.
Yeah.
Because they've now become the focus. They now have the power. They're kind of controlling you like a little puppet because you're now not doing. And I was so infuriated for 2 days. I didn't do anything that I intended to do. So I was deviated from my plan for 2 whole days just because I allowed something. But it showed a vulnerability on my side that I wasn't ready for. I put a level of trust in something that let me down completely. And when it let me down and it was racial and it was explicit and it was imagery, I was infuriated. So I thought, you know what, with the fact that I have training day choosers and I'm teaching people and helping people, there was an aspect of the raw feeling that came out that day. And as a part of me regrets doing it, but I don't. I do because I showed a vulnerable part of myself. But then again, I'm thinking, this is life. And sometimes you're just letting people know that you're human as well and you have feelings too. Yeah. And at the same time, I can acknowledge right there and then what I'm going to do about it and what you can do about it should you be in a position like what I am in today. Yeah. And now I'm here talking with you. Upon reflection, this is what I will do in the future to not allow myself to be here. Yeah. And to avoid you guys feeling like how I'm feeling now, this is what you can do now to build up the power to not allow people to affect you like that. So it just became a lesson for not only me, but for everyone else as well. So I was kind of using it as my own therapy session to kind of talk to people about how I was feeling and about what I'm noticing about myself and what am I going to do to fix it? And what could you do to fix it, to build up your strength? Because the strength doesn't come because you've gone gym and you can pick up weights. It becomes on how you bounce back from adversity. Yeah. And you're only able to kind of bounce back from adversity when you have invested in those people around you. Yeah. So the people around you, if you've invested in them, when you're down, you can look upon that investment for them to help build you back up. Yeah. But if you've not invested in them, then they're not going to be there to help you. No. And why would they want to help you? You've never been there for them. So you have to then now look back on yourself and go, who's around me that's important? Like, what would happen if something happened to my mother or my sister or my brother or my children or my partner or my friends? And what would happen? How would I actually feel if they were gone from my life or they didn't want to be a part of it? How would I actually feel? And from that moment, you knowing how much they mean to you is the moment that you have to recognize that and then go, this is what this relationship deserves because I've acknowledged what this means to me. And I will ensure that I at least try to call them, at least check on them, at least turn up for when they invite me somewhere, and I'll do this and I'll get involved in that and I'll ask about their children and I'll let them know that when they did that for me, how much I appreciated it. Doesn't matter if it's years later, because if there was repercussions, a ripple effect that affected you and changed your life because of that assistance and that help, let them know. I think it's so important because I saw something in, I don't know if you're familiar with Tony Roberts. He was a barber and he lost his life to an illness recently. No. And, you know, very experienced barber. He kind of revolutionized Milton Keynes with his barbering and trained a lot of barbers that went and opened their shops in Milton Keynes anyway. He was one of the first barbershops in that area and kind of built up that area and the standard of barbering in it. And he recently passed away and I went to see him, fortunate enough to see him before he passed. But there was a strength in him that he made me feel almost ashamed that I was taking pity on him because he was in a life-threatening illness. Yeah. But there was a strength and a buzz about him and he had this impact and feeling for now, like he understood what the present meant. Yeah. Now I understood it, but I think at that moment I overstood it. Yeah. Because he was so into the conversation that I was having with him. He was so into the conversations that he was having with everybody, his wife, his staff at work, and he was ready on the phone to help. But this man's about to die at any point, at any moment. But yet he's still giving because he understood, he overstood at that point that the present is the present for a reason.
Yeah.
And if you don't choose to unwrap that present,
yeah,
then there's no gift. It just sits there.
yeah.
It's not a gift until you unwrap it. It's just a box with wrapping on it. So you have to unwrap it before you can get the gift. It only becomes a gift once you open it. Until then, it's a box with wrapping paper. And that's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, and when I saw that, I was like, wow. And I looked at the wife. I don't really know the wife, but I saw the power that she had put in him. Yeah. I saw the energy. And then I looked at her and I'm seeing the power that he's put in her. And I'm like, wow, that's it, man. Those love tokens, you got to keep putting them in there, because you don't know when you're going to need to deposit. You don't know when you need to make a deposit. I mean, what do you call it? When you take the money out, you don't know when you need to take the money out. So you need to keep depositing your love tokens, because you don't know when you need to make a withdrawal. You do not know. And at the day that you need to make it, you're going to need those love tokens there. Yeah, you need them, because there's a terrible.
I said probably that one of the nicest expressions I've ever heard is love tokens, making a deposit.
Yeah, but yeah, it was an eye opener to see that, and you know, it let me know just how important it is for love in a relationship, and it is the highest vibration and attainment that man can have. Doesn't matter how much money you got, doesn't matter how much salons you've got, doesn't matter how many clients you've got, how many cars, whatever. If there is no one to share it with, it means nothing.
No, of course.
Ever tried to tell a story to someone that wasn't there, and it just loses its zest, doesn't it? It loses its power. You know, you just need the other person that was there with you to just be there whilst you're telling it, just to give it a bit of oomph and a bit of, you know, a better story and belief in the fact that they were there and they experienced it. So, you know, if a story lacks power just because someone weren't there, then you know a life without having people to share it with is going to be a dead story by the time you come to share it. And by the time you come to share it, no one wants to listen anyway.
No. Right.
And that's the thing that you don't want. So and that's what's made me kind of change my life around and made me focus on my industry and barbering in a different way. Yeah. And that's what made me love teaching, and it made me change the how can I put it? Change the affiliation with my industry. And it was mainly because of my children. Yeah. Because my children made me realize that I cannot teach them to be a child. They teach me to be an adult. Right. So they taught me how to be a parent. And that's when I realized that what I could get more out of teaching. I could become a better barber and a better stylist from teaching, just as my children taught me how to be a parent.
Yeah.
And that was how I looked at it. And and just life just got better and better from then. And I was just able to just go around the world showing off, doing haircuts. I never thought I'd be in Japan or Russia or Italy or Spain or France doing a haircut. It's just a haircut. Back when I was 16, I think, well, who's going to want to come and see a haircut? Do you know what I mean? And lo and behold, the world wants to see a good haircut.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen your work, and at the end, when we put our, you know, when this goes out, I should put all the tags to your Instagram and stuff like that. And I really encourage people to go on your Instagram and go way down and look at all the stuff that you've done over the years. It's just the work you've done has been incredible, and you know.
Thank you, man. I've really
inspirational what you've done.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, man. Really enjoyed it, and I've had a new spark of life as well after Mike Tyson is trying to come back in the ring. I saw him training and moving. Really, he was moving fast. It was absolutely wicked. I don't even care if I only get 2 minutes to see him do a great job. Like, he could have just 2 rounds of a fantastic 2 rounds, and he just fades out after that. I don't care. But the fact that he's gone back to the gym, slimmed right down, and he's near enough the same weight that he was when he was like 18 is like, magnificent at 53. Like, come on, that's ridiculous.
I know, and I listened to him on Joe Rogan, and then I listened to Roy Jones Jr. on Joe Rogan. He had them both on long conversations, but both of them have been legends in their own time. But both of them have got that fire, you know.
Yeah, they have got the fire, and me seeing that, it gave me fire again.
Gave you fire,
and I had to dedicate, and I realized I'd gone my whole life. I hadn't dedicated a haircut to Mike Tyson. I was like, no, I've got to do a haircut for Mike Tyson. Yeah. So I did a portrait of Mike Tyson. I was like, yeah, I'm proud of this. This looks wicked.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, put that out there. So I'm definitely going to relaunch that again when he has the fight and let everyone see that again and promote him and get that going. So yeah, it's good that you can look back on your work as well, and you can kind of make it timeless with the fact that it's artwork that I've done in hair as well. Yeah. It's hair art. And I loved it because of the fact that I could concentrate. There was that real concentration. Not many people in life can ask themselves, when was the last time you sat down and spent 3 hours, didn't move, and stayed focused on that one topic for 3 hours without a break? Don't go nowhere. Don't do nothing else. No. Don't sip a drink. Don't go and have a chit chat. Yeah. 3 hours or more on one thing, and don't think about nothing else. Not many people do.
No.
And for that reason is why I like still doing designs and doing it at that high level, because it allows you to train for focus.
Yeah.
Because there's not any other services that allow it. I mean, some people, if they do a ballet, maybe that might take them equal amount of time, but they're not constantly on it. There's times when they got to leave it develop and they're going to have a chin wag and a coffee, Yeah. But to be focused on there, knowing that one wrong move and you're going to have to wait 2 weeks to correct it.
Yeah.
You've got to be fully engaged, like completely engaged.
Yeah.
It's not like make a mistake, wipe a bit of tint off and then slap it back on, or rub it out or put more paint over it. No, once you've made a mistake, that's it. You've got to be the king of the innovator. You've got to innovate a whole new style, a whole new person, a whole new whatever it is.
I've been stood by the stage, and stood mesmerised at you working like that, and it's when you're standing looking at it and seeing it unfold before your eyes, it's quite magnificent. It's stunning what you do.
Yeah, thank you. And that's why I didn't want to ever let that die. And there was a number of people that made me kind of lose the love for it, because not the love for it, but it was like, oh, designs are out now, people don't do them. I'm like, well, the bob has been around.
Yeah.
Since how long? Why is no one going to criticize the bob?
Yeah.
What? Because that's a classic, and so is a line, and so is a design. It's a classic.
Yeah.
It's been around from the 80s. So, for something to still be around in different areas of the world, it might not be around here, but it's still a thing. And if it's done really well, people are still in awe of a well done haircut. It doesn't matter how old it is. Yeah. If it's done well, it will be respected and it will be adored. That's it.
Perfection is timeless.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. And couldn't have put it better myself. Thank you. That's it. I'm using that one now. I'm stealing that from you, Stuart. Thank you.
Take it, man. Take it. Well, MK, it's been an absolute joy. We've had a few interruptions and a few stops here and there, but my mate Stu is going to put it all together. And,
wow. That'll be fun.
Honest, yeah. Good luck, Stu. Thanks for that. But it's really great. And this is what I love about my new passion in podcasting, is that I get now to have a really good sit-down conversation with people. I've only managed to get little glimpses of a little grabbed conversation here and there, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, when I can really, and I respected you before, but I've got a real utmost respect for you now, MK. I love what you've done. I love what you achieved. And, as soon as we're out of lockdown, I'm going to come and have a coffee in your salon.
Oh, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Come see it, man. Come and see it.
Yeah, I'm coming. I feel like I've got to come now. I've got to come now. I've just got to come and sit there and have a coffee.
Oh, good. You're welcome. But, thank you so much.
Nah, good luck. And I know we're going to work on something in the future. We want to bring the most respected industry as we can, an industry we both love. thanks so much for your time today, and you take care.
I will do. Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.